Hi, I'm Karen Thaxton with Live the Pickleball Life. If you play pickleball for very long at all, you're probably going to end up in pain of one form or another. Now, maybe that means you just played an extra hour or two last night and today your legs feel like they weigh 50 pounds apiece. Or maybe you took a fall, or you aggravated that issue with your back and you have to sit out for a while. But have you ever thought that you could be causing yourself pain without even realizing it? I know from experience because I've done it numerous times. One instance had to do with the tops of my shoulders and the back, which I think are my trapezius muscles. They were killing me, and I couldn't think of a reason why. There was an occupational therapist friend of mine who I play pickleball with who got a hold of me one night on the court to help and ended up in tears because it was hurting so bad. Didn't do a thing. Ended up going for a professional massage. Nothing. Had to sleep sitting semi-upright in the reclining chair for about 4 days because it was too painful for me to lay back. Generally, when something like that happens all of the sudden, my first thought is, okay, what's changed? My shoulders felt great at this point and now they don't feel great, so what's different? After I started feeling better and got back on the court and took my ready position, I figured it out. Like this, and I was rolling my shoulders forward to an extreme. And I don't know why I started doing that, but doing this and feeling that tension up here time after time after time with every serve coming to me. How many times is that when you play 10, 12 games a night? And over the course of several days, that's what caused the issue. Well, as soon as I realized I was doing it to myself and what I was doing, I stopped, and I've never had that problem again. The same thing happened with my back. I've had back issues for probably 5 or 6 years, and most of the time it doesn't bother me, but it used to bother me a lot more until I realized something. When I originally went through physical therapy, the PT kept telling me that I needed to have a solid core. I needed to have a solid core that would support my back and help ward off any pain. Well, in my mind, without knowing any better, having a solid core meant I was constantly having tension right here. I walked around pulling my gut in all the time. Well, if you do that now, pull it in really tight, you will feel tension right here as well. As I had that constant state of tension in my body, it was causing more harm than good. And again, when I finally realized what I was doing and I stopped doing that, I haven't had nearly as many issues with my back. I'll give you one more example. Years ago, I had an issue with my right foot that would be so painful when I got out of bed in the morning that I could hardly walk on it, and I would limp around for hours until it began to feel better. Started going through anti-inflammatories, from going to my GP, and he gave suggestions and whatnot, all the way up to months later having an MRI done. And I was just about in tears as I was in the doctor's office. He has the MRI up on the screen and he's clicking through image from image to image, and he's leaning into the screen looking, and turned around and said, "Mrs. Thaxton, I would love to be able to find something in here that would let me help you, but there's nothing wrong with your foot." You know, okay, great. What do you do with that? And then one night, a couple of weeks later, I rolled over on my right side and I was having trouble falling asleep. So I was just contemplating life as I'm sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I felt the position of my legs and my foot. And my right foot was on the bottom and this toe was being pushed back and held there by the weight of the others, and then I had my other leg stacked directly on top, putting more weight. So for hours and hours at a time, I'm sleeping with this in this awkward position. And again, once I figured out what I was doing to myself and stopped doing it, never had the problem again. If you're having issues with pain that are keeping you off the court, start noticing. What have you done differently? Are you in an awkward position when you play? Are you doing something at home? Are you sitting in an office chair that's causing you to be off center with the position of your back? Do a little investigating and see if it'll help you figure out what the problem is. And once you discover that, the solution is usually pretty easy. I'm Karen Thaxton with Live the Pickleball Life. Stay safe and pain-free on the court.